got something interesting to talk with you guys about. This is a little bit of a silly Twitter drama that seems to have gone down. My editor has accidentally made another viral tweet. I don't know how it keeps happening. I really don't. It just they just tweet some shit and it goes viral. Like way more often than my tweets do, by the way. Like my editor's tweets get more engagement and more likes and more comments than my tweets do. It's actually crazy. But what can I say? Sherry's just constantly posting bangers. It just can't change that. Regardless, though, my editor did kind of start a little bit of drama, a little bit of Twitter drama, and it's become a bit of a discourse. All of yesterday, pretty much on Twitter, in like the drama sphere, I guess you could say, the people who are constantly arguing about what is going on in the Twitter like lefty drama sphere, and apparently this is the tweet that has started all of this. My editor simply tweeted, "You're not a progressive if you're dating a conservative." You can see the top reply is from Xuanhead, who said, "Never use the term progressive to describe myself, so this isn't about me. Don't worry, guys. Don't worry. Sorry." I can actually confirm my editor was not referring to Xuanhead here. This was her kind of looking into a tweet and like maybe taking too much out of it, I think. But no, this tweet was not about her. I'm pretty certain. Regardless, though, I do think that the general like discussion is worth being had. Not around anyone in particular. I think that's weird. I don't really care about looking into people's relationships and condemning them based on it. At least not publicly. I think, like, personal romantic relationships, it's just not something that I'm really interested in doing. And I think it's weird. The people who do it are pretty fucking weird. Like, I've seen people that try to, like, dig into that and try to rationalize some sort of argument that can go against somebody from that. And I think it's usually done pretty dishonestly. Reminds me of when Billie Eilish was canceled for dating a chud, but turns out he was a groomer and abusive. Yeah, I'm not saying that is like the issue. I think that there is. Here's my position, right? If you are part of a marginalized group, like let's say you're transgender, for example, right? You're transgender. And you have a friend who's like a liberal or leftist cis woman. And this liberal or leftist cis woman is very open in the fact that she agrees with your right to exist, your right to have rights, your right to be referred to and thought of and like treated as the gender you identify as, yada yada yada. This person's a progressive. This person's a lefty. They're a liberal, whatever, right? But they date somebody who is, like, I don't know, a Nazi or something. We'll say, like, a full-on transphobe or whatever. I would understand if that trans person was like, hey, you know, like, your partner, like, thinks I'm a subhuman degenerate, like, I deserve to die, and is gonna go vote for, like, the politician that's taking my rights away when the elections come around, right? Like, you are giving pussy to somebody who wants me dead. I could understand being a little upset if I was a minority and I had a friend who was like some white liberal, like, I don't know, like progressive or something that was doing that. I could get that, like, perspective. But, like, I think generally when it comes to forming personal relationships, I do think there's some level of, like, you have to give somebody, right? Like, you definitely, I do think it represents some level of what you're okay with in somebody that you'll associate with, and I think that is demonstrative of character. I don't think solely dating somebody or being in a relationship with somebody is like all that, like, I don't think that's a special thing. I think if somebody has like constant friendships and relationships and emotional or like romantic relationships with Nazis, then that's like a pretty big sign. But just dating someone alone, it just seems weird to try to delve into the psychology or morality of a relationship between two people. And I don't think that dating somebody necessarily changes your politics. I think it changes how married you are, quote unquote, to those politics. And I think that is something like a message, an implied message people will take from it. But I don't think it changes your politics. Do you know what I mean? Like if I saw like a supposed leftist dating a conservative, I would definitely assume they are not as in favor or as like dedicated to like lefty ideas as somebody who would not date a conservative. That's definitely an idea I would get from it. Meh, if you're in a committed relationship, you're essentially choosing your best friend. I do think it makes someone spineless if they're okay with dating a conservative. Yeah, I mean, it depends on how you consider like the dynamic, right? What if it was like a relationship in which the lefty in the relationship, like what if it was some leftist, like what if I got into a relationship with like a conservative woman and tried to like convince her to be more left wing, and like anytime politics came up, that's what happened. Like that feels like it would be seen a bit differently, you know? A bit less like being okay with the opinions and just sort of like being cucked and allowing them to happen, right? I think the issue is, and I think where some people, because this tweet got so much, like, so many people angry. Wait, these are not really good responses. Wait, what is this response? Wait, this makes no sense, so if you're a conservative and you date a progressive, what are you? Wait. Do they not realize that, like, conservatives would consider a conservative guy fucking a, like, lefty woman to be, like, the right getting a win and the left losing a point, so to say, because of the way they think about women as objects for sex? They do realize that, like, the right literally sees attractive women as objects that they can use to bolster their, their appearance, right? A lot of conservative dudes, like Andrew Tate, for example, say, look how many bad bitches I pull, as, like, an argument the right is, like, that right-wing men are better at pulling women than left-wing guys. And, of course, a lot of them, you know, sort of base their entire personalities and self-worth on how many bitches they can pull, quote-unquote. But, like, from their perspective, yeah, like, if a conservative dated a progressive... Like, if a conservative guy dated a progressive girl, that would be considered a win. The other way around, they'd consider it an insult, though. The same way that I guess a lot of people on the left would? I don't know. I think this is more of a position that you can't really take unless you're part of a marginalized group. I don't think that I can really have all that strong of a position on this, because, like, at the end of the day, I don't have any identities that are at threat right now. Like, guys, let's be really real right now. I'm white, cis, heterosexual, I'm, like, middle class, roughly, and, like, I'm not religious I guess I'm not Christian, which is could be a downside down the road, but, like, I think we're pretty far off from non-Christians having their rights taken away, you know? I think we're, like, from anyone who isn't Christian, like atheists having their rights taken away. I think we're far off from that. So I would kind of, I feel like I'd be sort of a, like a bitter douchebag if I were to judge somebody else too harshly for, like, dating a conservative or something, right? But if I was part of a marginalized group currently under threat right now, like if I was trans, and Cherry is trans, so, like, from Cherry's perspective, maybe, because they're the one who tweeted this, like, it seems as though, like, it seems as though if you're going to be friends with somebody or associate with somebody, it can be a little bit, you know, it could feel a bit personal if, like, a friend of yours is dating somebody who doesn't believe you should exist. I could see that, right? Like, if you're part of a marginalized group, I could see that happening, right? But, like, overall, I think if you're just some cis white guy, like me, for example, like, you're kind of, like, virtue signaling if you get mad at somebody for dating a conservative, because you're not the one who should feel betrayed by that, if anybody should be feeling betrayed by that, because you're not actually, like, you're like, the person in question is not against your right to exist. What do you think about Seanhead dating a conservative? I don't really care. I think that it's just sort of, like, part of generally what Seanhead's position has always been when it comes to befriending conservatives, and she's always been fine with it, and that's always been something that I've been a little iffy on, but it's nothing new. I think that people that if you hyperfixate on Seanhead's, like, if you're mad about Seanhead dating a conservative, but you aren't mad about Seanhead, as mad, I should say, about Seanhead being friends with conservatives, then it really does feel like maybe your rage is coming from somewhere else. It really does seem like, so I have seen posts from, like, angry lefty dudes on Reddit. Reddit is where you'll find them, where angry lefty dudes will complain about lefty women dating conservative men as if it's some kind of betrayal. And what I've always seen that as is demonstrative of lingering conservative bias in lefty guys. A lot of lefty guys don't really let go of the points game of dating when it comes to women. A lot of lefty guys will still base their self-worth and, like, their desires around sex with women. It's why so many lefty guys do the shit DJ Mule did, where it's like, oh, Bad Bunny, my queen, oh, my queen, please have sex with me, my queen, like that shit. And so I think a lot of those same guys have that same mindset of, like, if a woman dates a guy who isn't of our political position, that's like a point lost. That same, like, women are objects to be, like, tossed between political sides, not people with autonomy kind of thought process. That's where I've seen the most cringe aspects of that on the left. And it's usually from, like, random, like, white leftist dudes who are definitely straight and cis. Have you guys seen that? Am I the only one that's seen that, or is that just me? Maybe I'm the only one who's scrolled through Reddit way too much. I see it now. Isn't that what Cherry did? No. If you're part of a marginalized group and you see progressives, like, I'm pretty certain that what Cherry meant there was, like, the average, like, white, cis, het, straight, yada yada, which Seanhead is not part of, by the way. Seanhead's pan, right? It isn't, like, I don't know why Shu thought that the tweet was about her, because Cherry typically calls people out directly. There was also, like, Cherry's defended Seanhead. I don't know. Anyway, Seanhead's literally, like, part of the LGBT community, so there's that. Also, like, that tweet was referring to, like, in my mind, the way I read it, is, like, a person part of a marginalized group calling out white, privileged people, usually privileged white women, who will, like, call themselves progressive because it's, like, the socially popular thing to do, but they don't really keep up that same energy in social spaces, right? Like, it's like, oh, when you're around black and gay people, you're talking about how, you know, you're super progressive and how you're so left-wing on your politics, but, you know, meanwhile, you're still going back home to a racist or a homophobe at the end of the day. Like, I could see that as being like a thought process towards that particular group, like wealthy, privileged, heterosexual white women, but, like, usually. But, like, generally speaking, I have seen a tendency on I can understand where there would be pushback on the tweet, and that's what I'm saying here, that I understand where the pushback is coming from, but I don't think this was, like, I know this wasn't Cherry subtweeting. The kind of people who'll take the BLM hashtag out of their bio when their relationship with a black person is over. Oh my god. Thank you, Lance420. I literally had that example in the back of my mind, and I forgot it earlier. Like, the exact same kind of people who take the BLM hashtag out of their bio after a black girl cheats on them. That actually happened to a guy that there's a specific example where this happened, where there was this guy who was super BLM, like pro, like, oh, black issue, all that, dating a black woman. She cheated on him. BLM out of his bio, and the little, like, black, like, block Instagram screen, like, out of his post history, like, the next day. Yeah, that kind of shit, right? It feels sort of like, I guess I could see that, but regardless, I don't know. Now I'm reminded of Zan's iconic Mayo Monkey short. Jesus. No, in all seriousness, I do think some lefty guys can be weird when it comes to lefty women and treating them as though they are a point on a board or like a notch on a rope in a game of tug of war between the left and the right. And the ability for lefty guys to, like, swoon women and the ability for right-wing guys to swoon women is like a political contest almost. But it's demonstrative of an overall, like, misogynistic concept. The idea that a notch on the belt, so to speak, exactly. Like, it's still based on a misogynistic, like, concept, though, like, from both lefty and right-wing guys in this case. Not that I think that's what Cherry was doing, but I can see people being worried that's what it was. I guess. That's my view. I'm rambling mostly. What object are women being compared to today? A notch on a belt? Woohoo. Yeah. No, but what really bothers me as well about this is that I feel like a conversation about this always feels like any public conversation about an issue like this always, like, in the case of this, people thought they were getting quote tweeted. Like, it wasn't just Shu that replied to that. I'm pretty sure there were a couple other people that thought they were being quote tweeted as well. Or not quote tweeted, subtweeted. Clearly some people out there feel as though their, like, progressivism is based on who, like can be changed by who they date. And I don't think that's, like, the case at all. You know? I don't think anybody thinks that's the case, that somebody's, like, opinions or progressivism is changed by who they date. I don't even think that's the point they were making, but I think it's more or less the argument that people who would date a conservative generally aren't like a hardcore progressive type. I don't know. Regardless, though, at the end of the day, you shouldn't really concern yourself too much with other people's relationships, because usually, well, maybe you should if in the case of, like, Elon Musk, Ghislaine Maxwell, and Jeffrey Epstein. You could argue those are pretty politically relevant and pretty, like, just generally relevant. Those are some large public figure relationships you should probably be keeping an eye on, to be fair. But generally speaking, we've had something approximating this discourse like 100 times now, and it always feels like, at the end of the day, people want to talk about tea. Like, they want an excuse for there to be moral grounds to drama, to, like, talking about people's, like, personal, like, romantic relationship, like, drama stuff, right? Like, it all feels like the political side of it is just justification for talking about the tea. You know? It's human nature. It's definitely human nature, but I don't know. The other side of this is girls dating a POC for the first time and suddenly realizing that racism exists, running to everybody else to tell them, did you know racism exists? Their heart is in the right place, but damn, it's cringe. That is definitely a thing. Yeah. That is definitely a thing that I think everybody's witnessed at some point. I don't know. I don't think that's, like, even close to that bad, though, because as cringy as it is, chances are they're probably doing some level of good just by talking about that stuff, right? Like, even some cringy, overzealous white person talking about, like, the oppression faced by POC, like, that does do some good, right? Like, but you have to understand, we're living in a country where the Republicans' main strategy right now is to erase history. So yeah, you can't really be that mad at the random white lib going, oh my god, I just found out about Jim Crow. Did you hear about this shit? It was insane, dude. It's so bad. Oh my god, I didn't even know that existed, dude. Did you hear about this Jim Crow thing? You know, it's their heart's in the right place. You know, they're getting there, and it's good. You know, people talking about that stuff is good. The right relies on the world forgetting that. You know, the right really does rely on everybody, especially future generations, forgetting the horrors of the past that they have caused. Um, yeah. Regardless, anyway, listen. You enjoyed this segment, so thank you. Drop a like, subscribe, and ring the bell icon so you can see more of my awesome-ass fucking content. And follow my social medias, all linked down below in the description. They're pretty cool. I got an Instagram, a Twitter, a TikTok, a fan Discord, all that cool stuff. And of course, if you want to, maybe support me financially, you can follow or donate, support me, whatever it may be, if you've got the money for it and you don't need it for anything else, through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, or Patreon, or through my website. With all that said, thank you so much for watching, and have a good one.